The bakery smelled of burnt sugar and old bread, a scent that clung to the walls no matter how many times the ovens were scrubbed. It was already past closing time, but the lights were still on, flickering weakly, as if even electricity hesitated to stay with a place drowning in debt. Anna wiped her hands on her apron and stared at the ledger spread across the counter. Red numbers. Again. Every page screamed the same word: bankrupt. Flour prices had risen, customers had vanished, and the bank's final notice lay folded in her pocket like a quiet threat waiting to be spoken aloud. Behind her, a chair scraped loudly across the tiled floor. "Mom, relax," her son Kirill said, slouching against the display case where empty trays once held fresh pastries. "It's just a bakery. People go under every day." Anna looked at him sharply. "It's not just a bakery, Kirill. This place fed us for 20 years. Kirill shrugged, scrolling on his phone, uninterested. At 22, he wore expensive sneakers and a jacket he couldn't afford, bought on credit like everything else in their lives. He had plans, big ones, and a failing bakery didn't fit into them. The bell above the door suddenly jingled. Anna flinched. The sign clearly read closed. A man stood hesitantly in the doorway, hat in hand. His coat was old, threadbare at the elbows, and his beard was untrimmed, dusted with gray. He smelled of cold air and long roads. His eyes, however, were calm, sharp even, like someone who had seen too much to be embarrassed by his situation. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I didn't realize you were closed." Kirill snorted. "We are. You can read, right?" The man nodded. "I was just hoping to ask if you had any leftover bread." "I can pay tomorrow." Anna opened her mouth to answer, but Kirill cut in first. "Pay? With what?" He laughed, not cruelly, just carelessly. "We're bankrupt ourselves." Anna shot him a warning look. "Kirill." The man raised his hands slightly. "I didn't mean to cause trouble. I'll go." He turned to leave, shoulders hunched against the coming night. "Wait," Anna said softly. She walked to the counter, reached behind, and pulled out a small paper bag. Inside were 2-day-old rolls, hard, but edible. She handed them to him. "It's not much," she said, embarrassed. "But it's warm inside. You shouldn't be out there tonight. It's going to freeze." Kirill rolled his eyes. "Mom, seriously." The man hesitated. "I don't want to be a burden." Kirill smirked. "You can stay the night here if you want. We're losing this place anyway. One more body won't change anything." Anna stared at her son, stunned. "Kirill, what is wrong with you?" He raised his hands. "What? I'm being practical. Bank takes it tomorrow or next week, same difference." The man studied Kirill for a long moment, then looked at Anna. "If it's truly okay, I'll sleep on the floor. I'll be gone before sunrise." Anna sighed, exhaustion weighing heavier than pride. "There's a storage room in the back. It's clean. I'll get you a blanket." "Mom," Kirill protested. "That's enough," she snapped. "Go lock the register." Kirill muttered under his breath but obeyed. Later, the bakery was quiet. The ovens were off, the streetlights outside casting pale rectangles on the floor. The man sat on a folded blanket near sacks of flour, carefully eating the bread as if it were a delicacy. "Thank you," he said again. "You didn't have to." Anna poured herself a cup of weak tea and sat across from him. "People shouldn't freeze outside while others have roofs." He smiled faintly. "Not everyone believes that anymore." Kirill passed by, jacket on, keys in hand. "I'm going out. Try not to steal anything," he said casually to the man. Anna gasped. "Kirill." The man only nodded. "I won't." The door slammed. Silence followed. Anna rubbed her temples. "I'm sorry about him. He wasn't raised this way." The man looked around the bakery, at the cracked tiles, the old mixers, the faded photos of better days. "You raised him to survive. The world taught him the rest." She laughed bitterly. "If surviving means losing yourself, I'm not sure it's worth it." The man finished his bread and folded the bag neatly. "By morning," he said calmly, "things may not look the same." Anna smiled sadly. "That's kind of you to say." She turned off the last light and headed toward the stairs, unaware that the quiet stranger sleeping among sacks of flour carried a truth that would change everything by sunrise. Morning crept into the bakery not with warmth, but with a pale, hesitant light that slipped through the dusty front windows. The ovens were still cold. The shelves still bare, yet something in the air felt different, charged, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Anna woke before her alarm, the same knot of anxiety tightening in her chest. Today was the day. The bank representative was due by noon to finalize what she already knew: the bakery would be taken. 20 years of early mornings, burnt fingers, and honest work would end with a stamped document and an apologetic handshake. She tied her apron slowly, bracing herself, and headed downstairs. The first thing she noticed was the smell. Fresh bread, not the stale, sad scent of yesterday's leftovers, but rich and alive: yeast, warmth, promise. Anna froze halfway down the stairs, convinced she was imagining it. But then she heard the low hum of the oven. Her heart began to race. She rushed into the bakery. The stranger stood at the counter, sleeves rolled up, hands dusted with flour. The oven glowed softly behind him, trays of golden loaves lined up like soldiers. He moved with quiet confidence, checking temperatures, tapping crusts, adjusting vents, every gesture precise, practiced. For a moment, Anna could only stare. What are you doing?" she whispered. The man turned, startled. Then he smiled, just a little. "Good morning. I hope you don't mind. I couldn't sleep." "You turned on the ovens," she said, half in awe, half in panic. "Do you know how much gas costs?" "I do," he replied calmly. "I also know how much a full bakery window can bring in by noon." She shook her head. "You don't understand. No one comes anymore. They will today." Anna crossed her arms, torn between anger and disbelief. "Who are you?" He wiped his hands on a towel. "My name is Victor." "And you bake?" she asked. He nodded. "I used to." Before she could ask more, the door swung open. Kirill stumbled in, yawning, phone pressed to his ear. Yeah, I told you, this place is done." He stopped mid-sentence. His eyes widened as he took in the scene. The glowing oven, the golden bread, the stranger standing like he owned the place. "What the hell is this?" Kirill snapped, hanging up. "Mom, why is he touching our equipment?" Victor met his gaze without flinching. "Good morning," Kirill scoffed. "Don't. Good morning, me. You were supposed to sleep and leave." "I did sleep," Victor said evenly. "Then I worked." Kirill laughed harshly. "You think baking a few loaves is going to save this dump?" Anna opened her mouth to intervene, but the bell jingled again. A woman stepped inside, then another, then an elderly man with a cane. They stopped, sniffed the air, and smiled. "Oh," the first woman said. "Are you open again?" Anna blinked. Well, because it smells like it used to," the old man said. "Like real bread." Victor stepped aside. "Please." Fresh from the oven. Within minutes, the bakery filled with people Anna hadn't seen in months. Word traveled fast. Someone posted a photo online. Someone else called a friend. Coins clinked into the register. Bills followed. Kirill stood frozen, watching the number climb. "This is impossible," he murmured. By mid-morning, every loaf was gone. Victor had started a second batch without being asked. Anna leaned against the counter, hands trembling, not from fear this time, but from something dangerously close to hope. "Who are you really?" she asked quietly. Victor looked at the flour-dusted floor. "Once, I owned 3 bakeries. Then a factory. Then distribution." Her breath caught. "Owned." "Yes." He met her eyes. "I sold them all." Kirill's head snapped up. "Wait. What?" "I walked away," Victor continued. "From profit that came from cutting corners. From bread that looked good but fed no one. I chose to disappear rather than become someone I couldn't respect." Silence settled over the bakery. "And now?" Anna asked. "Now," Victor said, "I help where I can. And I repay kindness." At that moment, a man in a suit entered, the bank representative. Anna stiffened. Kirill swore under his breath. The man glanced around, surprised by the crowd. "Mrs. Petrova, this wasn't what I expected." Victor stepped forward calmly. "Perhaps you should check today's register." The man did. His eyebrows rose. Kirill stared at Victor as if seeing him for the first time. You stayed because you wanted to." Victor nodded. "Because your mother offered warmth when she had nothing left." Outside, the sun climbed higher. By afternoon, the bakery no longer felt like a place waiting to die. It buzzed, quietly, steadily, with life. The windows fogged from warmth, the counters were dusted with flour instead of despair, and the register no longer looked like an open wound every time Anna glanced at it. Yet tension lingered, heavy as the smell of yeast. The bank representative sat at the small corner table, papers neatly stacked, pen aligned with almost insulting precision. Kirill hovered nearby, restless, checking his phone every few seconds. Anna stood behind the counter, hands clasped, trying not to let hope make her careless. Victor emerged from the back room, having washed his hands thoroughly, his worn coat now folded over a chair. Without the flour and shadows of the night, he looked different, older, yes, but composed, self-contained, like a man who had already lost and survived worse. "I've reviewed the account," the banker said finally, clearing his throat. "Today's sales are unexpected." Anna held her breath. However, the man continued, "One good morning doesn't erase months of arrears." Kirill exhaled sharply. "I knew it." Victor raised a hand gently. "May I?" The banker looked up, irritated. "And you are someone who dislikes unfinished business," Victor replied. He reached into his coat pocket and placed a slim folder on the table. Kirill scoffed. "What is this? Another trick?" Victor ignored him. "Inside is a transfer confirmation. The outstanding debt, plus interest, has been paid in full." The room went silent. Anna felt the world tilt. "That's not possible," she whispered. "We didn't." The banker opened the folder. His eyes widened, then narrowed as he examined the document. He checked his tablet. Once, twice. It's confirmed," he said slowly. "The bakery is no longer under foreclosure." Kirill's face drained of color. "You paid it." He laughed nervously. "Why would you do that?" Victor met his gaze, calm but unwavering. "Because your mother treated me like a human being when you treated me like nothing." The words landed harder than any shout. Anna covered her mouth, tears welling. "Victor, I can't accept this. I don't even know you." "You fed me," he said softly. "You gave me shelter. You listened. That tells me everything I need to know." Kirill took a step back, as if the floor had shifted beneath him. "So you're rich," he muttered. This was all some test. Victor's eyes hardened. Not with anger, but disappointment. "No. This was a choice. One you could have made too." The banker stood. "I'll leave the paperwork with you, Mrs. Petrova. Congratulations." He hesitated, then added, "It's good to see a business saved the right way." When the door closed behind him, the bakery fell into a stunned quiet. Anna rounded the counter and stopped in front of Victor. "Why not tell us who you were?" He smiled faintly. "Because kindness given to a stranger is the only kind that matters." Kirill swallowed. His voice was small now. "I thought you were nothing." Victor nodded. "Most people do." Anna turned to her son. "Do you understand now?" Her voice trembled. Not with anger, but pain. "This bakery wasn't bankrupt because of money. It was bankrupt because we forgot why it existed." Kirill looked around. The ovens, the counters, the people peeking in through the window, drawn again by warmth and smell. Shame crept into his expression. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "To both of you." Victor picked up his coat. "I should go." Anna panicked. "Go. You can't just. After everything." "This place is yours," Victor said. "It always was." She grabbed his sleeve. "At least tell us where." He hesitated, then smiled. "Wherever someone needs bread more than pride." Kirill stepped forward. "Wait." He held out his hand, awkward, unsure. "Thank you." Victor took it. As the door closed behind him, sunlight flooded the bakery. Customers began to enter again, laughing, ordering, living. Anna wiped her tears and tied her apron tighter. The ovens were warm. The bakery was alive, and somewhere down the street, a man who had slept on a bakery floor walked on. Lighter, knowing that kindness, once given, always finds its way back.